Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO Candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.
A wonderful greetings to my viewers. Welcome to our today's edition of Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. My name is Salah Abubakar Oluwaduwa. I'll be taking you the subject of history, and the topic we'll be looking at today is the United Nations Organization, which is being acronymed as UN or UNO. But for today's class, we'll be using the acronyms of UN, which is United Nations. At the end of today's lesson, the learning objective that is aimed to be achieved is that, number one, students will be able to examine the origin of United Nations and how the organization is being established. Two, they will be able to highlight the aims and objectives of the organization. Then, three, they will be able to examine and discuss the achievements and the challenges of the organization over time. And lastly, they will be able to examine and discuss the role Nigeria as a nation has played within the organization. The United Nations Organization, which is in acronyms as the United Nations, is a diplomatic and political international organization that is intended for the purpose of keeping international peace and prosperity and development of friendly relations among member states. The organization establishment or the origin of the organization could be traced back to the establishment of the League of Nations in 1919 after the end of the First World War. And the aims and objectives of establishing the League of Nations is as well related to that of the United Nations, which is the prevention and promotion of peace and unity around the world. But the failure of the League of Nations, which cumulates with the outbreak of the Second World War, led to the demise of the League of Nations and the creation of the United Nations after the end of the Second World War in 1945. Just as when we are looking at the origin of the United Nations Organization, we will examine the failure of the League of Nations and its inability to maintain global peace and security and the outbreak of the Second World War. And as a result of this led to the formation of the United Nations. And the Charter of the United Nations was being drawn in the United States of America, which is USA, in the state of California in June 1945. And this charter was being signed by the victory countries, and the countries that actually initiate the establishment of this organization are majorly the winners and the leaders of the world after the Second World War, which include the United States, the Britain, France, China, and USSR, a country which later metamorphosed into what we have as Russia today. Then we'll look at the beginning of the operation of the United Nations. After the signing of the Charter of the United Nations in June, the operation of the United Nations started on the 24th of October 1945, and the Charter took effect, and it took effect on the signing members or signing party, and the headquarters of the organization is being established in the New York City, which is a very famous city in the world and a very famous city in the United States itself. That's where the headquarters of the United Nations is. And also majority of the organ of the United Nations also has their offices and headquarters in their headquarters in New York, which is also called the International Territory. Now we'll look at the charter, the content of the charter of the United Nations that was signed in 1945, which also informs the principle and objective of the organization. The first one is the settlement of dispute among members. It is important to know that one of the principles of the United Nations is to settle disputes amicably among member states. Also, the sovereign equality of all nations. It is important to know that the United Nations uphold the equality of all nations. In as much as you are an independent and have sovereign government over yourself, you are equal whether you are small, whether you have a large territory, whether you have a small population. They believe that all countries and all nations around the world are equal. Also, the provision of military assistance. The provision of military assistance to any nation that is being oppressed by another nation. That is part of the principle of the United Nations, which is what led to the Gulf War, which is what informed the US intervention in the Gulf War in the 1990s. Also, another principles and charter of the United Nations is the promotion of unity and cooperation among nations. It's not only about maintaining peace and unity. To achieve the maintenance and continuous existence of peace and security around the world, the United Nations believe in the promotion of unity and cooperation, because they believe the unity and cooperation is what can actually lead to the achievement of peace and security. When countries relate with each other, when they cooperate, when they interact with each other, they can actually understand each other better and avoid confrontation and conflict. And also promotion of democratic principles, which is a very controversial charter and principles of the organization, because there are member states that doesn't operate the democratic principles as it is being proposed by the Western countries. And also the promotion of international peace and security, which is the most paramount one, which is the most paramount principle of the United Nations and one of the most paramount aims and objectives of the organization, making sure that another global war that has a devastating effect as that of the Second World War never happened or occurred again. Now we'll also be looking at the aims and objectives. The charter and the principles of the United Nations actually inform the aims and objectives of the organization, which also dictates the functions and activities of the organization. And part of this is, number one, prevention of war. Part of the aims and objectives of the organization is to prevent the outbreak of any other war that is global in nature. And also the second one is maintenance of international peace and security, so as to achieve prosperity among humankind and human race. And thirdly, promotion of respect of human rights, and this is being enshrined through the United UDHR, which is United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, and also promotion of economic, social, and advancement of human race, to make sure that there is steady economic growth and development among member states, and there is promotion of socio-cultural interaction and activities among members of human race, and also settlement of disputes among member nations, amicable settlement of disputes, and the prevention of confrontation and war among member states, and also development of friendly relations among members, and lastly, acceleration of independence of trust territories, which is also part of the aims and objectives of the organization. Now we'll be looking at the organs of the United Nations. The organs of the United Nations include the General Assembly, which comprises of all member states of the United Nations. Then we have the Security Council, which comprises of 15 member states that have been selected among members and having 5 permanent members. Then the Secretariat is the administrative organ of the organization. Then the International Court of Justice, which is the judiciary arms and organ of the organization. The Economic and Social Council, which is the organ that oversees the cooperation and development among humankind, and also the Trusteeship Council. Now we'll be looking at the achievements of the United Nations. The first achievement of the United Nations is prevention of world war. Up till today, after the Second World War, no other war as devastating and in the scale of that of the Second World War has actually happened again in the world. These kudos will be given to the United Nations for making sure that it prevents the outbreak of another war that is global in nature. Also, settlement of dispute among member states. The United Nations has been able to achieve the settlement of dispute among member states. Most especially, for example, now we can use the dispute of the Bakassi Peninsula dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon that is being settled by the International Court of Justice in Hague. Is an example of its achievement by making sure that member states resent to settlement of dispute instead of confrontation. Also, promotion of peace and security around the world to ensure that relatively there is peace and security around the world, both on the international road and waters, people can actually ply it and do their activities and business peacefully. Also, the defense of human rights, it has a human rights commission which oversee the defense of human rights and making sure that those whose rights are being abused get justice from those who abuse their rights, and also increasing the standard of living through the activities of Millennium Development Goal and the Sustainable Development Goal activities of the ECOSOC, which is the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. There has been relative prosperity and increase in the standard of living of people around the world, and also provision of grant and loan through its specialized agencies like the World Bank, which is formerly known as the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and also encouragement of economic development among nations and exchange of trade and financial activities around the world, and also control of dangerous diseases and maintaining of good well-being and health of people around the world through the activities of the World Health Organization and UNICEF. Then we'll look at the problems and challenges of the United Nations. Despite the achievements and success the United Nations has achieved and scored over time since its inception up to today, there are some challenges that is still prevailing the organization, which is inhibiting it in actualizing the full potential of its power. Some of these challenges include the shortage of funds and non-payment of dues by member. The organization does not have any personal business that generates funds for it, but rely solemnly on the payment of dues and payment and fund that is being donated to him by member states, and some members has not been able to fulfill their obligation, which has led to the shortage of funds for the operation of the organization. 2, the inability to maintain absolute peace and political stability. There is still political instability all around the world. There are several wars that are still being waged by countries. For example, now the Vietnamese war, the war that is currently going on between Russia and Ukraine are examples of this political instability and peace and absolute peace that is not being achieved by the United Nations. Then the enforcement of decision. The decision made by United Nations is bounding on members based on their willingness to abide by it. The organization doesn't have any power to enforce decision on member. It relies on voluntary decision and willingness of member states or nations to do what? To follow decision that is being made by organization. And any country that is not following the rules and regulation or decision made by the organization has no penalty to be given on him, rather than sanctioned by other countries. Then, lack of standing military force. The organization also lacks a standing military force to ensure that peace and security is being maintained around the world. Just like every other organization, like the regional organization and other international organizations, the United Nations rely on the donation of forces, of military forces and other paramilitary forces by member states for carrying out its peacekeeping mission and other peace and security activities. And also the existence of regional organizations. The existence of regional organizations like the European Union, the African Union, the ECOWAS, and some other regional organizations like the East Asian countries organizations. All these regional organizations divert the attention of member states from the United Nations to this regional organization, and countries and members are more likely to commit themselves more to this regional organization, because members among the members are very close to each other in ties and social cultural activities than members of the United Nations. And also we look at the ideological rivalry, most especially at the inception of the establishment of the organization. The ideological rivalry between the United States and the USSR, which is now Russia, while one is a capitalist and the other one is a socialist, and the rivalry between this country that even led to the Cold War that ended in the 1990s. So this also affected commitment and activity of the organization. And also the problem of disarmament. After the Second World War, countries also engage in armament, and for example now the existence of nuclear power in the hands of some countries is also a threat to the stability of the world and the achievement of absolute peace and security around the world. And also inability to resolve conflicts among member states. There are a lot of conflicts that are still going on around the world that the United Nations is unable to resolve among member states. Example is the conflict between the Israel and Palestine. Example is the conflict in the Darfur region in Africa. Example is also the war that is currently going on between Russia and Ukraine. And also the failure to address issue of poverty. Despite the activities of the ECOSOC as an organ of the United Nations, there are still several people around the world living in poverty, like Nigeria and India is an example, which is having a very large number and population of people living below standard. For example now, living below the expected HDI of $1 per day living expenses. Now we'll be looking at the roles that is being played by Nigeria within the United Nations. Nigeria as a country where we are and which we belong to, will be examining the roles Nigeria has played in the United Nations over time. The first one is the provision of personnel that serve in the United Nations Secretariat and other United Nations agencies. These personnel are Nigerian citizens who have been trained Nigerian and who has actually contributed a lot to the success and activities of the United Nations. Also, Nigeria has played a significant role in the area in the area of taking care of refugees that is being assigned to him by the United Nations, as some countries decline the acceptance of refugees or send them back to their country. At a point in time in Nigeria, a lot of refugees, for example now during the Liberian War, a lot of refugees have been accepted in Nigeria and taken care of by the Nigerian government. And also the Nigeria has contributed to contributed troops that participated in the peacekeeping operation of the United Nations, and also participation in all discussion and activities of the United Nations and as well promotion and respect for international law within the framework of the United Nations. Nigeria has been a country that has greatly respect international law and also abide by the international principles and rules, and also regular payment of our due to support the organization financially. Nigeria is part of the countries that has been making sure that their dues to the organization is being regularly paid, and they make sure that their other financial obligations are being met up with. And also Nigeria has helped in the promotion and upholding of fundamental human rights, because despite the enactment of the UDHR by the United Nations, it is not all countries of the world that has actually signed it and implemented it. Nigeria is part of the few that has actually signed and implemented and uphold the rule of human rights through the instrumentality of UDHR. As Nigeria has contributed to the activities of the United Nations organization, Nigeria has also benefited a lot from its membership and this participation, and we will be actually examining and looking at the benefits or the advantage of Nigeria membership in the United Nations organization. The first one is that Nigeria receives support in technical areas like health, like education. A lot of Nigerians have benefited from scholarship, from research grants, from loan, and even in the area of health, Nigeria has benefited technical support and the receiving of medical supply like drug, like vaccines, like immunization in fighting of diseases that are very crucial and that has been giving problem to the health, to the public health of the country. Also, we look at the receiving of financial aid and grants from the IMF, which is International Monetary Fund, and World Bank, which is also an agency or organ of the United Nations. And also Nigeria has benefited from scholarship, research grant of the United Nations, and they have also participated in seminars which are being fully paid for by the organs of the United Nations or United Nations organization itself. And also Nigeria has, UN has supported Nigeria in the area of agriculture and food security through World Bank program, the World Food Program, the FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization. Nigeria has also benefited a lot from this in making sure that famine does not happen in the land and making sure that there is food on the table for every Nigerian citizen. Also, Nigeria has benefited from global peace and prosperity that is being championed by the United Nations, which has given room for economic growth and development that Nigeria is experiencing today, and also the employment opportunity enjoyed by Nigerians in the United Nations headquarters or its other affiliated agencies. Just like we have a Nigerian that has served at the International Court of Justice, Hague, in person of Teslim Elias. These are examples of how Nigerians has been able to benefit and show their skills to the global audience. And also UN has offered political support to Nigerians during the democratic process and also during the civil war. These are the advantage and benefits Nigeria has derived or benefited from its membership of the United Nations. Now we'll be going to the practice question. The practice question we'll be looking at today is a very important question that has been repeated several times by external exam like WAEC and NECO. And you can see that it is being noted that in 2009, 2017 and 2018, this question has been repeated several times and even repeated in other times that has not been noted here. The question says, outline any 5 benefits Nigeria has enjoyed as a member of the United Nations organization. And it is important to know that the question can come in different form, but it's still asking us the same thing. It can come as asking us the advantage of Nigerian membership, or the benefit Nigerian has gained, or the positive side of Nigerian membership. And the response to this question goes as those. Nigeria successfully used the forum to advance her view on international issues. It gave Nigerian support to end the civil war. Nigeria has received educational aid in form of book, science equipment, computer, and lecturing support in higher institutions. Also, Nigeria soldiers and police and other security forces has been able to gain practical experience through their participation in peacekeeping activities of the United Nations, and also the country has benefited from the support given to the observance and enforcement of human rights. These are things that Nigerian citizens benefit directly from by making sure that human rights of every citizen is not being abused. That's the end of today's class.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
Thank you very much for listening to us and being with us, and we'd also like to receive your comments, observation and contribution on the topics we've treated today. And please don't hesitate to get in touch with us through the comment section or the social media handle that is being listed, that is being displayed on the screen. Thank you very much.